winner of the New Jersey Press Association's Most Innovative Award.
Welcome to another edition of Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Shea, bringing you the top headlines in Central New Jersey. Here are some of the stories we're covering this week. Celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Healthcare deadline approaches. Greater Media radio personality retires. Utility tax controversy. And street sign celebrates soldier's life. Bagpipes and drum lines have steered the Irish through times of celebration and suffering, and those who belong to these bands say they are happy to continue their tradition. While the bands will march in St. Patrick's Day parades everywhere, the members say they stand for much more than entertainment. They act as a bridge between generations and the Celtic lineage, and such groups take pride in teaching young people how to inspire crowds through the songs of years gone by. For a behind-the-scenes look at the local pipes and drums bands, see this week's editions of Greater Media newspapers. And here's Mark Rosman with more headlines from this week's papers.
The Samaritan Center Food Pantry is once again participating in the Feinstein Foundation Challenge to end hunger in the area. The foundation is giving away $1 million to hunger-fighting agencies nationwide. The campaign runs through April 30th, and the more donations the Samaritan Center receives during that time, the more money will be given to the center. Money received from the foundation will be used to purchase food. Donations can include cash, checks, and food items. The Samaritan Center is based in Manalapan and offers food on a weekly basis to individuals and families in Manalapan, Englishtown, Marlborough, and Millstone Township. The Samaritan Center now serves more than 1,000 adults and children each month. For more information, call 732-446-1142.
A major deadline is coming up for those who want health care. Jennifer Amato has more.
For residents exploring their healthcare options, only a few weeks remain to enroll in the Affordable Care Act. The deadline is March 31st to sign up for an insurance plan, which was made mandatory when the act, also known as Obamacare, was signed into law in 2010. More than 900,000 residents across the state still need to complete their documents, which are available at www.healthcare.gov or by calling 1-800-318-2596.
Various school officials, teachers, and parents throughout the country have criticized the implementation of the Common Core state standards, and that trend has continued in New Jersey. The initiative went live this school year in the Garden State. The rigorous standards are a far cry from the education that students received just a couple of years ago. Math that was once taught in 5th grade has bottomed down to 3rd grade, and informational readings take precedence over fiction. One Marlborough parent recently spoke out against the transition to the more difficult curriculum, adding that her daughter has struggled academically and emotionally. The parent said the shift to the Common Core proved abrupt for her child and other children. School officials said they felt for the child and plan to establish routes, whether they be parent nights or after-school clubs, to help students who are fighting to adapt to the new standards. But the trouble ultimately stems from the state, officials said. New Jersey schools were forced to adhere to the standards, the method of implementation, and the timeline. For more information, check out this week's edition of the News Transcript.
And here's a roundup of headlines from this week's papers. Greater Media's Marty Martinez is retiring. He served as the co-host of the Rat FM's Carl and Marty in the Morning Show for the past 13 years. Following the actions of Middlesex County and nearby Red Bank, Rumson has made its stance against fracking. The Borough Council passed a resolution supporting pending state legislation that seeks to prohibit the presence of harmful byproducts from natural gas drilling. Seabright is getting a new paint job. The city joins 20 others across the U.S. and Canada that want a downtown makeover, courtesy of Benjamin Moore's Main Street Matters contest. And here's Bruce Johnson of Greater Media's WCTC with an update on Rutgers women's basketball. After that, we have Tim Morris with more on local sports.
So the Rutgers women's basketball team has ended its one-year stay in purgatory, or should I say the American Athletic Conference. The limbo period came to a crashing end in Connecticut on March 9th with an 83-57 defeat to number 1 and unbeaten UConn in the AAC tournament semifinals. Get a load of this. The Scarlet Knights lost to Connecticut 3 times this season by an average margin of 31 points a game. In fact, Rutgers has lost to UConn 13 times in a row, which leads me to say that of the 3 major revenue sports teams at RU, the one that has an advantage moving to the more prestigious and powerful Big Ten next season is the RU women. The football team is making a quantum leap, and forget about the woeful men's basketball program. It'll be buried for years to come in the Big Ten. But the Rutgers women are getting a huge break. They no longer have to play UConn twice or 3 times a year. They no longer have to play number 3 Louisville twice or 3 times a year. In fact, a case can be made that the 2 new schools joining the Big Ten, Rutgers and Maryland, could immediately jump to the head of the class in that league. Right now, the top guns in the Big Ten are Penn State, Nebraska, Purdue, Michigan State, and Iowa, but none are anywhere near the weight class of UConn and Louisville. So RU head coach Vivian Stringer and company may actually be getting a break going to a better league. Of course, only time will tell. I'm Bruce Johnson on 1450 WCTC and WCTCAM.com.
This is championship week for New Jersey high school basketball teams. It starts with the sectional titles that were decided on March 10th, 11th, and 12th. One of the teams celebrating a championship were the Colts Neck High School girls, who captured the program's first Central Jersey Group 4 crown since 2010, when they defeated Hunterdon Central 41-28 behind defense and Jenna Looney's 22 points. Colts Neck's defensive goal is to make offenses work. The more time a team spends passing the ball around, Cougar head coach Glenn Jansen believes the greater the chances for a turnover or a steal like here that can trigger a quick transition to offense. Looney turned this defensive rebound into instant offense and a quick 2 points. Point guard Katie Healy directs the half-court offense. Here, she delivers one of her 9 assists to Elisa Moody. Unselfish team play and passing led to this layup for Looney from Lindsey Boselin that delighted the Cougar fans who were out in full for this game. Late in the fourth quarter, when a double-digit lead was slipping away, it was a gutsy three-pointer by Looney that stopped the bleeding and helped secure the championship. And the ensuing celebration. Cutting down the nets has become a basketball tradition, and Colts Neck delighted in the opportunity to celebrate its first championship since 2010. This is Tim Morris for Greater Media Newspapers.
A charter school is being stumped once again. Here's Tom Castles.
Hatikva International Charter School serves 273 students from 21 school districts in 6 New Jersey counties. That fact makes it the point of indignation for many local residents and public school district officials who insist that the school overburdens tight public school budgets and drives up property taxes. Dismayed residents and school districts were pleased to find that Hatikva's proposal to expand from a K-5 school to a K-8 school and increase its class sizes by more than 100% was denied by the State Department of Education. DOE officials said an expansion was not warranted because the school's academic performance declined significantly during the 2011-2012 school year. While the expansion proposal was denied, the school's charter was renewed for 5 more years through the 2018-2019 school year. An online petition supporting denial of the school's proposed expansion garnered more than 1,000 signatures. But even with so many people opposed, the school hasn't seen a dip in popularity. According to Hatikva's Board of Trustees President Lori Newell, the school is currently enrolled at full capacity, with many more prospective students queued up on a waiting list for upcoming years.
Monmouth and Middlesex officials are asking the state for more than $1 billion. For what reason? Keith Hugh-Miller will let you know.
Officials throughout Monmouth and Middlesex County are pushing the state to put more than $1 billion of utility taxes back in the hands of the towns that deserve them. The so-called energy receipts taxes originated decades ago and required utilities to pay towns for hosting infrastructure like electrical substations and gas lines. For years, however, the state has been collecting the taxes and reserving a significant portion for its own use. According to Middletown Committeeman Anthony Fiore, the state's share of the taxes has increased in recent years, costing the township more than $4 million in 2011 alone. In this week's Hub, Atlanticville, Independent, Sentinel, and Suburban newspapers, we speak to officials from Long Branch, Middletown, and the New Jersey League of Municipalities who say the funds would make a big difference for local budgets, helping them to offset property taxes and other appropriations. We also speak to State Senator Linda Greenstein, who has sponsored a bill that would allow towns to collect the taxes directly and increase their share of the funds throughout the coming years. While supporting the bill, Fiore and others have also called for a public referendum on the issue, which could sidestep an anticipated veto from Governor Chris Christie.
A street sign in East Brunswick will now commemorate the sacrifices made by a fallen soldier. Here's Kathy Chang.
U.S. Army Corporal Stephen R. Koch served his country with valor and exemplified compassion, dedication, and courage. That is what people should remember, his father Bill Koch told the crowd at a commemorative sign ceremony dedicating Koch Lane to his late son on March 9th. The sign was memorialized for the 23-year-old paratrooper who was killed in action in Afghanistan in 2008 during Operation Enduring Freedom. Koch Lane is a cul-de-sac at Dutch Road Estates, a new 19-home subdivision in the Colonial Oaks section of East Brunswick. This is Kathy Chang for Greater Media News.
For more in-depth coverage and additional stories, see this week's editions of Greater Media newspapers. Start a conversation at facebook.com/Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Gia. Thanks for tuning in.